You're happily reading a book or talking to someone in English, and then a word stops you. You don't know what it means. What do you do? You can't stop and look in the dictionary every time there's a word you don't know, so you have to guess what the word means. But here's the problem. Most people guess wrong. In this video, I'm going to show you a simple 3-step technique that will dramatically increase your ability to correctly guess the meaning of unknown words and remember them for the future. The best thing about this technique is that it has been proven to work in just 15 minutes, and it works for all levels of English, especially lower level learners. You'll also get to try a special test called the Word Detective Test, where you can practice your new skills and see your results instantly. But before we start, let me show you how difficult it really is to guess word meanings in English. This research shows that, on average, learners who pass the Cambridge C1 exam know between 3,750 and 4,500 words. If you know 4,500 words, then you would know 95% of the words in a typical English fiction novel. That seems pretty good. But it also means that 5% of the vocabulary in the novel would be new, which is the equivalent of 15 unknown words on each page. That's a lot. And that's why being able to guess the meaning of words from context is such an important skill. But as I said, guessing is not easy. Studies have shown that a typical learner is only able to guess correctly around 25% of the time. So you will be wrong 3 out of 4 times. The good news is that using the simple technique I'm about to show you, you can increase the probability of guessing correctly to 80%. So you will be right 3 out of 4 times. That's pretty amazing. But please note that you shouldn't stop and try to guess every unknown word, because, as I just explained, there might be a lot of them. Focus your attention on the unknown words that are causing communication problems. Now it's time to learn the 3-step technique that will improve your ability to guess unknown words and become a professional word detective. The first step is parts of speech. Can you correctly identify nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs? This is a really fundamental skill. In fact, some research has shown that most incorrect guesses about word meanings are caused by getting the part of speech wrong. So here are some quick tips to help you. Find the verb first. It tells you what the subject is doing. Ask yourself, what is happening in this sentence? Next, look for nouns. You can identify nouns by looking for words with a, an, or the in front of them. And you can also look for words that start with capital letters. Next, find the adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives will almost always be directly before nouns, and adverbs will almost always be directly before or after all those other words. Here's a pro tip from me as an English teacher of 15 years. If you don't know what part of speech a word is, it's probably an adverb. Finally, be careful when using word endings to identify the part of speech, because in English they can be tricky. For example, you might associate the ed and ing endings with verbs in English, but many adjectives also end in ed and ing. The key to correctly identifying the part of speech in English will most often be word order. Once we have correctly identified the part of speech, that gives us some vital information that helps us to successfully guess the meaning of the word. If it's a verb, we know that our unknown word probably describes an action or a state. If it's a noun, then the word is probably a person, place, or thing. If it's an adjective, it gives us extra information about the noun. And if it's an adverb, it usually gives more detail about how, when, or where. Now we can move on to step 2, helper vocabulary. Are you able to get helpful information from the vocabulary surrounding the unknown word? Take some time to look at all the words and phrases around this unknown word. This will give you a general feeling for the word. It's important to note that you don't need to know exactly what the unknown word means, so you don't need to translate it or look for a synonym in your native language. Often, you only need to know if it's a positive or a negative word. For example, the surrounding words sunny, laughing, smiling, and happy tell us that the unknown word is probably positive. Something else that can really help is focusing on those little grammar words like and, but, because, if, and so. Those words can give you vital context clues. For example, in this sentence, the word because indicates cause and effect. His dog died, so we can expect the missing word to be negative, like sad or devastated. But in this sentence, the word although indicates contrast. So even though something bad happened, the missing word is probably positive, like calm or happy. In a situation where you don't have a lot of time to analyze all the language, like in a spoken conversation, simply focusing on those grammar words can be a quick and effective way to guess word meanings. Now we can move on to the third and final step, guess and check the word meaning. Did you get it right? This is a really important step, not only for fluent communication, but also for learning and remembering new words. If you're reading a book, you can check your guess using a dictionary. In a conversation, you can get confirmation from the other person like this. Does mean happy? You mean like happy? Was he because he was happy? If you check your guess and use the word in context, you will be much more likely to remember the word and be able to use it again in the future. So let's revise those 3 steps again. Step 1, identify the part of speech. Step 2, look at the surrounding language. And step 3, guess and check the meaning. Learning words from context is an important skill because the reality is that all language learners, including native speakers, will learn most of their vocabulary in this way. Of course, it's possible to learn vocabulary through deliberate study or flashcards, but most learners simply don't have time to learn thousands of words this way. And research shows that learning vocabulary in context is more effective and allows you to be actually able to use the words you learn. If you want to practice the technique you learned today and see how good your guessing skills really are, go to the Kangaroo English website and take the free Word Detective test. You will get instant results that show you exactly where you need to improve. But please remember that in language learning, there are no magic techniques. Your guessing skills will only continue to improve with practice. I hope that this video has given you the tools and the motivation to do that. I'm Christian, this is Kangaroo English, and I'll see you in class.